All right, if you will open to Psalm 126. Psalm 126. All right. The theme here is hope for continued restoration, and this is another song of ascent. And it reads, A song of ascent. When the Lord brought back the captive ones of Zion, we were like those who dream. Then our mouth was filled with laughter, and our tongue with joyful shouting. And they said among the nations, The Lord has done great things for them. The Lord has done great things for us. We are glad. Restore our captivity, O Lord, as the streams in the south. Those who sow in tears shall reap with joyful shouting. He who goes to and fro weeping, carrying his bag of seed, shall indeed come again with a shout of joy, bringing his sheaves with him. All right. So again, hope for continued restoration. The question there, have you ever been thankful for something, but you know that there's more that can or will be done? And in this case, it's a song of ascent that they would sing on the way to the temple. Simply there is being released from captivity. The parallel there is they're like those who dream, so those who are dreaming ones. So being delivered from exile is a good thing. Remembrance, being delivered from exile. They can sing this on the way up to Jerusalem. Say, hey, the Lord delivered us from exile. And if you're uncertain about the future, remember past provision. And so in any circumstance, whether it was a hard situation, when they went up to a festival, they could remember that the Lord had delivered them greatly from exile. Verse 2 here, the mouth is filled with laughter, the tongue it's filled with joyful shouting. And again, there are more parallelism there, so this is very poetic. Obviously, it's a psalm, but it's very poetic, and a lot of poetic devices used here. The others outside are looking in and say, hey, the Lord has done great things for them. And it's so great that even the nations who don't know the Lord were recognizing the Lord's provision. It's kind of like in Jonah's case, when the people who didn't know the Lord saw the Lord was causing that storm. When they tossed Jonah over, they made vows to the Lord. And so the Lord's name will be made great among the nations. All right, in verse 3, the Lord has done great things for us. We are glad. And so their word is true. Those who are looking in are correct, and we affirm it when we're glad and joyful. And we need to be grateful and thankful when the Lord brings those types of situations and when he has provided for us. And verse 4, we have a plea, restore our captivity, restore our captivity, O Lord, which doesn't mean put us back into captivity, but it's bring us out of captivity as the streams in the south. And so the notion of water freely flowing is the openness there. And so also in abundance, that they'd be free and live in abundance. And and the final image there, that those who walk in weeping, lifting a trail of seed, will bring back fruit and be fruitful and live in abundance. So it's a prayer for full deliverance and for freedom, for abundance, for the Lord's blessing on the nation. And captivity, it could be from Babylonian exile. It could be something more minor. It sounds as if the return is partial thus far in this case. And so in the case of the Babylonian exile, it was amazing how the Lord delivered Judah from Babylon and even turned the heart of a king to letting people like Nehemiah and Ezra go and restore Israel and rebuild Jerusalem. And the Lord is in charge. He's sovereign, and he caused those things to happen. But here, it seems like it's just even a more minor thing that could even be going on at the time of the writing of that psalm. It's possible that the city could have been ruined at the time. That would fit with the farming simile. So planting to restore the town, and then seeing the restored town, the sheaves. And then, it also parallels the mourning for the rest of the captives yet to return. There we go. And, the Lord is seen as great among the nations. The nations recognize the Lord's deliverance of Israel. And if you can compare that with the Red Sea account, or the Reed Sea, if you like that, Yeah, and the nations during the conquest, they would all look in and they would fear Israel. And these were underdog people, but they were going through and conquering because the Lord was with them. And the Lord was going to fulfill his promise in giving them the land. And even so, today they're there. Compare there with all of this, Paul's seed being sown in 1 Corinthians 15, and Peter's incorruptible seed in 1 Peter 1. And the Lord is all about making incorruptible seed into, turning our lives into that, and so we can have eternal life. So the Lord is all about fruit and abundance, and bringing us to really land of plenty. All right, so the notion of homecoming there. If the city were likely in ruins and needed some fixing, you would want to restore that. And the prayer here is that the Lord would fulfill all of the restoration. So if there's any situation you're going through and you need restoration, just call on the Lord, because he is able and willing to bring you out of any valley. And so he'll be with you through it. And sometimes he leads us through valleys to prepare us for other things in the future or to strengthen our faith. But we always need to turn to God and thank him for any deliverance that he gives us. So that's just a brief meditation on Psalm 126. And just as a focused verse here in Psalm 53, verse 6, it says, "Oh, that the salvation of Israel would come out of Zion. When God restores his captive people, let Jacob rejoice, let Israel be glad." All right, so with that, though, you can go ahead and click that, but we're going to have a time of prayer, and you have your requests there on your